What's up, Internet? This is JD coming at you again with a video. It's basically about the same fucking topic. Kirk Cousins is the issue with the Redskins, and I can pretty much just go over just basic things that could be it. But I got a little bitch who keeps commenting on my videos, saying I'm stupid and I don't know what I'm talking about. Yet he has no inclination at all to even look up a stat. Every stat I've regurgitated is looked up and it's factual. So I'm just going to go through game by game and tell you what Kirk Cousins and what the team has done, and then you can depict what you think the reason why the Redskins suck. I'm going to regurgitate some things that I've already said. Washington Redskins last year, their game, their season was a failure, and it was a failure, and I blame 85% on Kirk Cousins, 10% on the coach. I'm sorry, I mixed that up last video. I said 10% was the defense, 5% was the coach. 10% is the coach, 5% is the defense. All right. I'm going to go through game by game. I'm going to go ahead and throw some stats out there. Kirk Cousins' red zone efficiency dropped from 2015 to 2016, 20%, dang near 20% in the red zone. So that's the first thing really that happened. And goal to go is, and he had 8 less touchdowns in the red zone and 2 more interceptions in the red zone. In 2016 and did in 2015. So from year to year, what I'm saying is, if you look at what we did in 2015 and you compare that to 2016, we made the playoffs. We were 9-7, and we didn't make the playoffs the next year. What caused us to not make the playoffs? Now, everyone and their mother wants to blame the defense. Well, the defense statistically gave up the same amount of yards. He gave up actually 2 less in 2016 per game on average. On average, so I mean it's a wash. They gave up 2 less yards per game, 377.8, I think is what it was, and in 2015 they gave up 380. So it's 2 less yards, but people want to split hairs. And then they gave up the same amount of points defensively as they did the year before. The only thing that changed defensively was their third down efficiency, where teams were able to actually convert on third down at a much better percentage. Other than that, they did not give up more points. And my point is, okay, the defense had injuries. Okay, they had injuries. They had to play a lot of rookies. They had very key parts were injured. You had Junior Gillette. You had D'Angelo Hall. Sunu Cravens was in and out of the lineup all year. You had a bunch of guys injured on the defensive line. And our defense wasn't projected to shut teams out. Our defense was projected to be middle of the pack, which is what they were. So I don't blame the defense, considering that they weren't supposed to be good to begin with. So why would you blame them whenever they're just not really underachieving? They're just achieving what they're supposed to. The offense, yes, it got more yards, and this is what I keep driving home to people. Just because you have a lot of passing yards doesn't make you a great quarterback. It doesn't. A part of being a quarterback is also your efficiency, your red zone efficiency, and scoring. Kirk Cousins got, I think, 700 more. I'm not going to go over the stats in depth, but he had 700 more passing yards this season than last. Good. By those numbers, because you had 4,150 or something the year before and 29 touchdowns. If you're going to improve in passing yards, odds are, I mean, logic says that you should also improve in touchdowns, correct? That's my thought process. So he didn't. He goes from 4,100 something yards to 4,800 yards, almost 5,000. Okay, and he goes from 29 touchdowns and he drops down to 25 touchdowns. Okay, that's less touchdowns he had before. So that's why I'm saying Kirk Cousins is at fault because he underachieved. And to add this to it, he not only underachieved, but he had more weapons and a better offensive line this year than he did last year. We added Vernon Davis. We still had Garcon. We still had Jackson. We still had Jamison Crowder. We still had Reed. We had all those guys. And I'm going to throw this in because a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people blame the running game as well. We had a better running game this year. You can say what you want. Redskins average over 100 rushing yards a game. So you can't sit there and say, oh, the offense, the running game is horrible. If the running game was averaging 50 yards a game, you might have a legit claim. But they weren't. The offense was not averaging 50 yards a game. They were averaging over 100. It was like I think it was 106 yards or something. Okay, so I don't understand where this is coming from. And they gave up the same amount of points, same amount of yards, and the only thing that changed was they were worse on third down efficiency. But you want to know something? Our offense was also not very good on third down efficiency. Just throwing that out there. I'm going to go game by game now and break down a whole bunch of stats, or break down a bunch of games as to, because the guy had the nerve to claim if it wasn't for Kirk Cousins, we wouldn't have won any games last year. No, we won a lot of games in spite of Kirk Cousins. We did. I'm just going to go game by game. Pittsburgh, we played Pittsburgh. We were 3 for 10 on third down conversions, 0 touchdowns by Kirk Cousins. 2 interceptions, and he only put up 16 points. A really good quarterback, a great quarterback, put up 16 points, and he couldn't score touchdowns on that secondary. The Pittsburgh Steelers secondary was not very good. Anyone who wants to debate that with me, you're dead wrong, and you have no argument. Yes, our defense gave up points. That I'm going to concede that. The Steelers had one of the best offenses in the league this year. Okay? And that was before we actually started using guys properly. Okay? But Kirk Cousins put up 0 points through 2 interceptions and only put up 16 points, and he had 0 touchdowns. I'd say he didn't do very good in that game. So he was one of the reasons we lost that game. We scored 16, and he didn't put any touchdowns in the end zone. We had rushing touchdowns. For those of you who are curious which touchdowns we had. And to be fair, our defense did turn them over 3 times. He turned them over twice in the first quarter. So if we put the ball in the end zone against the Pittsburgh Steelers, we potentially could have had them down 14 or 21-0. And then our defensive strategy changes. We don't have to worry about the run because you're not going to run because you got to catch up. Our offense has proven you can't stop our offense. So that if they run, we're going to match them in points. And they're going to eat up too much clock. Okay? I'm going to go to the second game now. Dallas. 5 of 13 for third down conversions. Kirk Cousins missed 4 deep balls. 4 deep balls to Jackson and Crowder. He overthrew Jackson by 10 yards. I didn't think that was possible, but he overthrew Deshaun Jackson by 10 yards. And he underthrew Josh Dobson. Now, this is the key play in this game. He underthrew Josh Dobson. And Josh Dobson, he was wide open. He could have crawled the ball in the end zone. But the ball was underthrown by 10 yards. Josh Dobson had to come back and get the ball. And because he had to come back 10 yards to get the ball, that gave the Dallas Cowboys a chance to run and catch him. He ran and caught him. Okay, and they tackled him about like the 10-yard line. 2 plays later, interception thrown, and Dallas goes down and scores a game-winning touchdown. That was Kirk Cousins' fault. So there's 2 losses where Kirk Cousins did absolutely nothing. And we lost. Okay? 5 of 12 with third down conversions. And again, he puts up decent yards because he does a lot of dinking and dunking. He throws the ball to a short out route, and the guy will catch it and run for 10 yards. He has a lot of players that are really good at it. Jordan Reed's one of the most athletic tight ends the league's ever seen. He does it all the time. Crowder. You got Deshaun Jackson. You got Pierre Garçon. You have a lot of guys that are just athletes. Chris Thompson out of the backfield. Okay? So let's move on to the next game. New York Giants defense. New York Giants, sorry. Defense held the New York Giants to 6 points in the second half. Looks to me like the defense wasn't too bad there. That looks like a pretty good defense to give Kirk Cousins a chance to make a comeback, considering he didn't score any touchdowns in the first half. And they picked off Eli Manning twice to give Kirk Cousins a chance to make a comeback. Okay? If Kirk Cousins would do his job, that game could have been not a 29-27 win. It could have been something like 30-something to 27. My biggest argument is the offense the Redskins have, based on their numbers, if you compare them to any other offense in the history of the NFL, should be averaging about 30 points. And if the defense did their job, the defense held teams to 24 points, 23.9 points to be exact. If you score 30, you're going to win most games. That's my argument. Let's keep going. Cleveland, the Redskins are up 17-3, and Kirk Cousins throws a pick 6. And in the second half, the defense held Cleveland to 3 points to let us win by 31-20. That's what our defense did. They shut out Cleveland to give us a chance to win the game. And Kirk Cousins, we were up 17-3, and Kirk Cousins throws a pick 6 to 11 back in the game. So that's what Kirk Cousins did in that fantastic game. Baltimore. Our defense held Baltimore to 10 points in the first half, which is pretty darn good. And then our defense shut them out the second half, which is really good. The pick that was we should have lost that game. There was a pick 6 that Kirk threw, but the defender, there's a rule where if you fumble the ball going into the end zone, it goes out of the back of the end zone. It's a touchback and it goes back to the offense. It goes to the other team, I should say. And that's what happened. If it wasn't for that screw up of a play, we'd have lost that game because of a pick 6 on Kirk Cousins' part. We got lucky. We got the win. I'll take it. But that was because Kirk Cousins. He didn't even pass very good this year. We put up 16 points. One of the best quarterbacks in the league only put up 16 points on the Baltimore Ravens. Explain that one to me. Eagles. Defense held Philly to 6 points in the second half. Up 14-0. Kirk Cousins throws a pick 6. In very crucial moments, whenever you need to put your foot on the other team's throat and kind of stomp the life out of them, Kirk seems to be throwing a lot of pick 6s or a lot of interceptions. Just throwing that out there. And our defense stepped up and held them to 6 points in the second half so that we could make sure we win that game. I think we won 27-20 or something of that nature. 27-20, I think is what we won by. Detroit, 3 fumbles. Didn't score a touchdown in the first half. Now, I'm not going to lie, he did have a good second half. He had a passing touchdown, and he had, I think it was a rushing touchdown or 2, 1 or 2. But we only scored 17 points. How do we have a quarterback who's putting up almost 5,000 passing yards, and he cannot get the ball in the end zone? That is one of the biggest frustrations I have that people don't understand. The Bengals, and we only give up 20 points. Our defense held a team to 20 points. If our defense was giving up 30-plus points, and we're scoring like 28 or something, everyone who wants to blame the defense has a point. But we're not. It's not like we're giving up a lot of points. We're losing games by like 20-17. And we're holding teams to 10 and we're winning 16-10. Our offense is underachieving. This is what my point is. And that is the quarterback, somewhat the coaching, I'm not gonna lie, somewhat coaching, but it's the coach. It's Kirk Cousins. It's not the defense doing this stuff. The defense is Kirk Cousins put the defense in a bind a lot because he can't score. Not the other way around. Bengals. He had 1 pick. Legit, this one you can blame on someone else other than Kirk. He didn't have a bad game. He had 1 pick, but you can blame this one on someone else other than Kirk Cousins. Matt Jones fumbles the ball on the goal line, and that's a touchdown just wiped off the board. And coaching. They're in overtime. It's second down. They run the ball, and they get a first down. They're in field goal range. And they set up the field goal. The other team calls a timeout to ice our kicker. My opinion is just run the ball again. Run the ball 2 more times. Let the kicker, get loose. And we miss a field goal in overtime because of that. That you can completely blame on the coach, and you can completely blame that one on Matt Jones. I'm not going to throw any blame to Kirk Cousins. I don't remember the game 100%. He might have missed a touchdown pass. I don't know. But I'm not going to blame that one on him. That was legitimately coaching and Matt Jones. Minnesota. Defense held Minnesota to 0 points second half to give Kirk Cousins a chance to come back. Yeah, I think we're down 20-3, and the defense shuts him down. Green Bay. Defense, I blame this one on defense. The defense stepped up, held Aaron Rodgers to 24 points. Our league average, 24 points. And Robert Kelly had 3 rushing touchdowns. Now, Kirk Cousins had 3 touchdowns himself. I'm not going to take that away from him. He did do pretty good. But you also got to factor in Rob Kelly did have 3 rushing touchdowns as well. We did win that game. I think it was 41-24 or 42-21 or something like that. Dallas, nothing bad to say. Only thing I can say about Kirk Cousins in this game is if you're going to throw for more than 400 yards, you need to score more than 21 points. That's all I'm going to say. You need to have more than 3 touchdowns. Let's put it that way. Can't blame him on that. So there's 2 games where I can't blame Kirk Cousins. I'm not going to blame him for Green Bay. We won that game, so I can't take that away from him. But there's 2 losses. One's a tie, or there's 2 games where I can't blame Kirk Cousins for the outcome of the game, the tie, or the loss against Dallas. Can't blame him for that. I mean, he gets 450 yards. He has 3 touchdowns. You can't really blame him for that. There's 2 games. That's 1 loss and a tie that I can't blame on him. Arizona, pick 6 by Kirk Cousins. Pick 6 by Kirk Cousins. There's 7 points that the team got the Arizona Cardinals got. There's a fumble by Kirk, and was returned to about the 10-yard line. I think it was next play or 2 plays later. Touchdown. So there's 14 points off Kirk Cousins' turnovers. And then he couldn't put the ball in the end zone in the fourth quarter. We lost that game by 8, so it wasn't too bad, but we lost that game by 8. But he was a very big reason as to why we lost. Defense held Eagles out of the end zone all second half against the Eagles. That was kind of a chippy game. I think we had 2 rushing touchdowns. Kirk didn't do bad in that game. Not too much, but I will say our defense held Eagles out of the end zone, so we could win. Carolina was the worst game Kirk Cousins, I think, has ever played. Our third down conversion was 2 for 12. He had 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, and 1 fumble. Could not score. There was a rushing touchdown. We had, I think it was in the second quarter, but Kirk Cousins could not get the ball in the end zone to save his life. Couldn't do anything. Against Carolina. Now, Carolina's a good defense, don't get me wrong, but Kirk Cousins puts up 5,000 passing yards. He's that great. We got to sign him long term. He should be able to at least score a touchdown. Chicago. Now, everyone's going to look at this game like, oh, look how many points Kirk Cousins put up. Yeah, we put up 42 points. Kirk Cousins had 1 passing touchdown. He had 1 rushing touchdown that he snuck in on the goal line. And I think 1 it was like a rollout and he just ran for it. But we also had, I think it was 3 touchdowns by our running backs. And our defense picked off the Bears 5 times. So that's how bad our defense is. They picked off the Bears 5 times. Giants, last game of the season, which is what sparked my first video. 0 touchdown passes by Kirk Cousins. 2 interceptions. Only scored 10 points. And our defense, prior to the last play of the game, which was a fumble recovery for a touchdown because they were just trying to do something fancy, we lost that game 10-19. Our defense held that team to 13 points. Our defense held the team to 13 freaking points. And we couldn't score more than 10 points. I'm sorry. The offense is the reason we are losing games. It's not the defense. It's not an unresolved thing where, okay, the offense can't score, so the defense has to stop them because the offense can't score. No. Both teams have a job to do. Okay? Now, is the defense extremely great at doing their job? No. But do they have more of the tools to do their job? Who has more tools to do the job? The offense or the defense? Obviously the offense. It's a much better team. It's a better unit. And in my opinion, it drastically underachieved because of Kirk Cousins. And had nothing to do with it. Nothing the defense has done is really drastically cost them a game. Yeah, some third downs. Oh, would you want to get down to our third down conversions? We are 87 for 192 on third down conversions. I think that's 43%. That's 43%. And I'm going to throw a stat out there that no one else knows. There's an interesting stat that correlates with all of our wins/ties. Whenever the Redskins put up 90 or more rushing yards, they win or they tie. 90 or more rushing yards. It has nothing to do with his yards. Kirk Cousins, we've won games when he has 450. We've lost games when he's had 450. We've won games when he's had 190. His passing yards are irrelevant to the success of the Redskins. What is relevant is actually our running game. I'm not going to say Kirk Cousins isn't a part of it. Okay, he's definitely a part of it. He's part of what helps that. Okay, but when our running game got over 90 yards a game, we won. That's a fact. Look it up. We had 9 games this year where we went over 90 yards. Guess what games those were? Those are the games where we won 8 games and we tied 1. We should have won the tie. We should have won a couple other games. Now we'll say our team, everyone's going to say our team's horrible. Our team is not too bad. I mean, we were in every game. A bounce here and there. Kirk Cousins maybe doesn't choke a couple games, and we're winning. We should have beaten Arizona. We should have beaten the Cowboys first game of the year. Kirk Cousins doesn't throw pick 6 or pick in the end zone. Okay, so there's 2 wins right there. We should have beaten the Bengals. Okay, we should have beaten Arizona, Detroit, Dallas. Okay, Arizona, Detroit, Dallas. Giants last game of the year. But Giants twice. Dallas once. Bengals, the team we tied. Detroit. And then Arizona. Those are games we could have won, but should have won. Right there is 6 games we could have won. Okay? Only 2 games we really got our asses whipped. The game we got our asses whipped was the Pittsburgh game. Again, 0 touchdowns from Kirk, but our defense didn't play great either, so, you can go either way on that. Okay? And the Carolina game, which our defense didn't do horrible, but our offense couldn't score. So that's primarily why we didn't do very good in those games. But my point is simply this. I'm not saying Kirk Cousins should not be a quarterback in the NFL, nor am I saying that the Redskins shouldn't have him as quarterback. I am not saying that one bit. Okay, when you put up those kind of yards, you have some talent. Okay, but people need to understand and recognize that a lot of the reason why he has the yards he has is because he, first off, the insider news, Stephen A. Smith, he changed a lot of plays. He changes plays to safer plays to get himself more yards, which, is smart on his part. He also, 40% of his passing yards are yak yards. For those who don't know yak yards, when you throw the ball and they catch it and they run for extra yards. So if I throw a 5-yard out and Deshaun Jackson takes the house for 80 yards, I get 85 yards out of it. That's not passing yards. Okay? Those are yak yards. 40% of his yards are yak yards. Okay? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with yak yards. Some of the greatest quarterbacks in the history of the NFL had a lot of yak yards. But don't act like he's throwing the ball 40 yards at a time like Aaron Rodgers does. Okay? He's not Aaron Rodgers. He's not even close to Aaron Rodgers. Okay? And what I'm saying is he doesn't show up in the red zone. But people ignore that. Oh, he had 5,000 passing yards. Okay, passing yards don't equal touchdowns. You don't get a point just for getting a lot of yards. You don't get points for that. Okay, this is the NFL. You don't get points just for participating. You don't get points just for having good passing yards. You have to put it all together. Doesn't matter if you're a great running back. If you're a great running back, but you can't put the ball in the end zone, or you fumble a lot, like Matt Jones, you're not going to be a good running back. If you're a quarterback who has a lot of yards, but you cannot put the ball in the end zone, that is a problem. And I've blatantly stated, and I have proven, that he had a drop-off from his red zone efficiency one year to last year to this year. Okay? He went down 20 points in his completion percentage. He went down 8 touchdowns in the red zone. And he went down in his goal to go, which goal to go is the 10 yards and in. He went down from 65% to 33%, or 32.5, I think, or 31.5 is what it is. 34%, okay? Now 31%. So he cut that in half. That is him not being a good quarterback in the red zone. And I keep bringing this up. It's not so much about I really just want to run through the Colts. I don't. It's about fairness. It's about fairness. I was a big fan of RG3. And RG3, when he screwed up, he got raked through the coals. He did. He got ramrodded and raked through the coals. Okay, people treated him like he was the worst human being in the world because he screwed up on a football field. It's probably because of the media in DC, to be honest. But why is it RG3 got that kind of criticism, which, I'm not going to lie, was warranted. But Kirk Cousins doesn't. And Kirk Cousins has more weapons. He has no excuses. Kirk Cousins at least had an excuse. RG3 at least had an excuse. He didn't have a good offensive line. He had a decent running game. I'm not going to take that away from him. Okay, he had a decent running game. He didn't have as many weapons. He didn't. No one can argue that with me. He did not have as many weapons. So I don't understand where people are coming from, where they're like, Kirk Cousins this, Kirk Cousins that, and we need to sign. Yeah, sign him long term. We should have signed him 3 years ago. We should get him for $15 million rather than have to pay him fucking $20 million now. He's not worth $20 million. Okay? I would concede and say he might be worth 18. 17.5, $18 million. Because what's going to happen as soon as you pay him, he's not going to try as hard. Right now, he's playing for a contract. That's what he's trying to do. He's playing for a contract. And I'm not convinced. I am not convinced at all. Because I've seen games where Colt McCoy's come in. I'm pretty confident Colt McCoy could come in and do the same exact thing. You want to know why? Because we have access to stability now. We have a coach who has one offensive system. And Colt McCoy had bounced around the league for a while, and he finally has that. A couple years ago when Dallas was like extremely good, okay, and they were like 14-2, I think is what they were. Redskins went in there and spanked them with Colt McCoy. So that is my video, okay. So if you want to sit there and say, "Oh, Kirk Cousins is the reason why we won all of our games," he's not the reason why you won all your games. The reason why you won all your games is because you had a running game. Okay, that's the only stat that correlates with the success of our team. Only stat that correlates with, did you get 190 yards rushing? Yeah. Did you win? Yes. Yeah. Kirk Cousins, he can throw 450 and we lose. He's done 190 and we've won. It does not correlate. The only correlation, really, is our running game. Okay? Again, Kirk Cousins is a good quarterback. He's not great. Okay? Criticize him. Make sure he knows what he's doing wrong and criticize him. I don't care what Chris Cooley says. If people say Chris Cooley says this, yeah, Chris Cooley can say all that stuff because he was a big fan of Kirk Cousins and he hated RG3. Okay? Why don't anyone ever say that? Just throwing it out there. I'm JD. That's my video.